Namaste everyone. Welcome to Advaita Vedanta Satsang House. The ongoing sessions are on Bhagavad Gita from an Advaita perspective offered by Bindoji. We are on chapter 4. The replays of all these earlier rooms and even the lectures that came before that in Aparoksha Anubhuti and other Upanishads are available as replays in Clubhouse, or there are three other links shared in the chat. One is a YouTube channel called Advaita Retold, where you can access them in a series. And then you have Apple Podcasts and Spotify also available as options. There's also a book penned by Artemisia, which comes again from the perspective of Advaita, offered by Bindoji earlier in Clubhouse. And it's available on Amazon. The links are shared in the chat. So when Bindoji is conducting the class, which will last for an hour, I'll be closing the chat and hand raising, after which the channels will be open for any further questions. As always, thank you, Bindoji. Over to you.
Thank you, Prakash. Namaste and Hari Om to all of you. The invocations. Om Namo Brahma Dibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrubhyo Vamsharishibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhyaha Sruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashi Kritau Vande Bhagavandau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murtibheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Gita Dhyana Shlokam. Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stunvandi Divyaistavai Vedai Sangapadakrammo Vanishadai Gayanti Yam Samaga Dhyanavastita Tadgatena Manasa Vashyanti Yam Yogino Yasyandam Na Vidussura Suragana Devaya Tasmai Namaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha. Om. We were discussing Chadurvarnyam Maya Srishtam Gunakarma Vibhagashaha Tasya Kartaram Abhimam Viddhi Akartaram Avyayam, which we discussed yesterday. The points which we need to discuss are a little more left, so I will continue that today before going to the next verse. So the fourfold Varna order, or the cosmic socio order, has been projected by me according to the division of Guna and Karma. Though I am the Karta of it, know me as the Akarta and Avyaya. Tasya Kartaram Apimam Viddhi Akartaram Avyayam. The Apimam, Kartaram Api is what we discussed. So the Api holds both the lines in a dialectical tension. The cosmic fact of Kartaram and the philosophical truth of Akarta are simultaneously asserted without contradiction, because they operate at different levels of description. The Kartatvam, or the doership, is from the Vyavaharika point of view, or the transactional empirical point of view, whereas the Akartritva, or the non-doership, and the Avyaya is from the absolute or Paramarthika level. So the verse asks Akartritva as a statement, the Viddhi Akartaram Avyayam as the most direct statement by Krishna to show that Atman is Akarta. And it is in the Gita where he says that Atma is Akarta. indirectly himself. Therefore, the verse where Krishna is speaking as Parameshwara, that is to be understood. Viddhi mam akartaram avyayam. So he is telling that even though you are seeing me as a charioteer and friend and all those things which we both have been sharing in our empirical life or the vyavaharika and this thing, Viddhi mam akartaram avyayam. But know me that I am neither the doer and I am imperishable. So the Parameshwara aspect of Krishna, he directly identifies himself as the Akarta. This is decisive because if Parameshwara, who created the entire Chaturvarnya and the Samsara, is Akarta, then the Atman underlying all individual action is also Akarta. Because the Pratyagatma and Parameshwara are one and the same. Therefore, the Jiva's sense of Kartrutva, doership, is pure adhyasa or superimposition, thinking that he is the body, mind, intellect. And it is the agency superimposed upon the Nirupadika Atman, Pratyagatman, the self in all of us. Removing this Kartrutva adhyasa, that is the doer, non-doer, and the doership associated with the body, mind, intellect, is the Tattva-jnana. And through the Tattva-jnana is the essence of Karma Yoga's deepest teaching. The Karma Yoga can be practiced and perfected only when you have no doership. This mutual superimposition on Atma and Anatman, among these superimposition, the most consequential is the superimposing of Kartrutva upon Atma, which is the reason why we have the cycle of samsara. Because karma produces karma, avidya produces kama, because avidya produces kartrutva. So it starts with avidya. Avidya produces the kartrutva on the atma, which is of the body. Therefore, the aham or the individuality is felt at the mind intellectual level, even though it is not there because of the avidya, not knowing one's own true nature, produces the individuality of the Dehatma Buddhi, that I am the body, mind, intellect complex. And since the identification, adhyasa, takes place at that level, that gives rise to kama, desires. Because from the body, mind, intellect level, we have insufficiency. A sense of insufficiency of the body, mind, intellect is felt as my insufficiency. And to complete that insufficiency, apurnata, the kama gets a primordial push, which is called the spriha. Spriha means the directional desire towards acquiring things external to you. That spriha is forcing us into action for the fruits of action. Through action, the fruits of action. And that creates a samskara or what you call innate tendencies in us. And these innate tendencies are the reason we go from birth to birth, punarjanma. So once we remove the kartrutva adhyasa by tattvajnana, that I am not the body, mind, intellect, that will remove the samsara's mechanism from the root itself. When you don't have kartrutva adhyasa, then karma will not come. And karma cannot produce karma, karma cannot produce samskara, samskara doesn't produce punarjanma. Therefore, there is no birth again. The Chaturvarnya is based on Guna Karma Vibhaga. We discussed that yesterday, not on Jati. All functional differentiation in the Vyavahara is based on Guna. Because Guna belongs to the Prakriti and not to Atman. Therefore, at Vyavaharika level, the Varna differentiation is real and functional as Guna Karma Vibhagaha, the division of Guna and Karma, which creates the genuine differences in natural capacity and functioning. But at the Paramarthika level, at the level of Atman, there is only one Atman. It is not my Atman, your Atman, his Atman, her Atman, like that. There is only one Atman. And that Atman is Nirguna, Akarta, Avyaya. The Atman that is non-different across all Varnas, all creations. This is the Advaitic resolution of what might appear as a social hierarchy. The Chaturvarnya is functionally real at the Vyavaharika level or empirical level, but ontologically transparent at the Paramarthika level. The one Atman is equal in all Varnas. In the 5th chapter, next chapter, 18th verse, explicitly states that Vidya Vinaya Sambanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shuni Chaipa Shvapakeja Pandita Samadarshinaha. Pandita, the learned or the wise who have acquired the Tattvajnana. Samadarshinaha, they are seeing the equality in a Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, or an outcast. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane. A Brahmana who is Vidya and Vinaya Sampanna. He is endowed with Vidya. The knowledge and Vinaya means he is epitome of humility. Gavi means cow. Hastini is elephant. Shuni is dog. Chaiva, Shvapake. Shvapake is the name for one who cooks and eats the dog. Basically to indicate the outcast who are not living in the society, but mostly in the what you call, we call it as a Chandala. But this Pandita who has the Tattvajnana, he sees the Samadarshitvam or equality in all of them, because he doesn't see them by the name and form or the apparent appearance in which they are. He sees the truth in each one of them, which is nothing but the Pratyekatma. So Karta api Akarta, when Krishna says that, he is the model for the Karma Yoga. Kartaram api akartaram as a philosophical model for Karma Yogi's own relationship to the action. He is just as Parameshwara himself in his approach towards the world. In the Vyavaharika Karta of the Chaturvarnya, he appears to create, appears to be acting, appears to be doing the job he was endowed with, which he was performing earlier. But when he knew his reality, Tattvajnana, he can see from the absolute point of view, Paramarthikata, where he identifies himself as the Pratyagatma, the self in all. And that self is Akarta and Avyeya. It never truly acts or never modified by the apparent action at the Vyavaharika level. Same is the case with the Karma Yogi. At the empirical level or the Vyavaharika level, performs actions. He fights, rules, trades, serves, whichever may be the Varna he is born in, where he is endowed with. He acts according to that. But he knows the truth behind all of them as Akarta, knowing that the Atman is Avyaya and never truly an agent of any action. And this is the practical import of Viddhi Akartaram Avyayam, which Krishna is telling Arjuna to know me, to know Krishna as Akarta. And there is a hidden message in this. When Krishna says, know me as Akarta, he is also telling Arjuna to know the me in you. In each one of us, when we say I, we are identifying with the body, mind, intellect and saying I am so and so, born such and such a date, location, relationship, etc. But when Krishna says that know me as Akartaram Avyayam, he is telling that I am the Atman in this body which you are also seeing. I do not own this action because I know the truth, Tattvajna. You also will know the truth if you are pursuing the Tattvajnana. Thereby, know yourself as Arjuna, you know yourself the way I know myself as Akarta. For if Parameshwara, who creates the entire cosmic order, is Akarta, then Arjuna, who fights a single battle, is most certainly an Akarta at the Paramarthika level, not at the Vyavaharika level. This understanding is precisely what makes a Karma Yoga possible. Acting without Kartrutva Abhimana, the pride or the ego of the doership. Because one knows Atman is Akarta. So when you know that I am really Akarta, how can I have an ego or that I am the doer of such and such an action? Shankaracharya connects this to the previous chapter, 27th verse. Prakrite kriyamanani gunaihi karmani sarvashaha. Ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. All actions are performed by the gunas of the Prakriti. But the deluded one, Ahankara vimudatma, by the Ahankara, identifying himself with the ego of the mind, thinks that I am the doer. The gunas act, the Atman is Akarta. But when there is avidya, which superimposes Kartrutva upon Atman, creates the Ahankara. Therefore, Krishna is saying, Viddhi Akartaram. Remove this Ahankara Kartrutva Adhyasa. Through Tattvajnana, and know me, know the me in you as akarta. And avyaya is the ground for akartatva. The qualifier avyaya, imperishable, unchanging, is placed last in the verse. Shankaracharya reads avyaya as the ontological foundation of akartatva because vyaya means decay, expenditure, modification, etc. Is what action produces in an agent, a doer. The very true act modifies the actor. While doing the action, he has the ego that I am the doer. And that doership modifies his ego toward the fruits of action, and he gets conditioned by the action and the fruits of action. Therefore, modification takes place in the agency. But when it is understood as avyaya, without modification or change, no, that includes the action. The action is also included in the avyaya because the action is not done by that person. Therefore, there is no modification of anything. Therefore, if Parameshwara is avyaya, he cannot be truly modified by the act of Chaturvarnya creation because he has no abhimanatvam or egoship of doing that I am doing the Chaturvarnya. He is an akarta even while appearing as karta. This is exactly what a karma yogi also will be doing. He will be doing the actions, but he doesn't have the ownership or the ego of the doership. Atman is avyaya, unmodified. Therefore, Atman is akarta. The sequence is that avyayatva means non-modificational nature, gives rise to akartrutva, non-doership, and that is exactly what is the moksha or the state of liberation. Because if you don't have doership, no enjoyership, neither doer enjoyership is not there, then you are freed from the samsara, which is called the moksha. So removing the samsara through the recognition of avyaya is called the moksha. So the philosophical teaching of chapter 4's opening moment reaches its the most apt or concentrated expression by this statement. Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam. It's a cosmic fact. And also a philosophical truth, akartaram avyayam, when he says that. In the empirical world or vyavaharika description, karta, and in the absolute reality, he is an akarta. The social order of guna karma vibhaga and the ontological equality of one avyaya atman in all varnas is when he says vidhi mam. This mam or me is there in every varna, every individual. But they do not, ahankara vimudatma, they do not know that that is akarta. So he says vidhi. Vidhi means it's an injunction. Please know me, you must know, like that. So is directed at Arjuna, is simultaneously directed at every reader or listener of Gita. Know the Parameshwara and thereby the Pratyagatma in each one of us as Akarta Avyaya. This is the Tattvajnana of Akartrutva, the philosophical heart of Karma Yoga. Without Kartrutva Abhivana, the doership, ego of the doership, Because Atman does not act. It's a sakshi. It's a witness. It is never involved in any of the activity of the waker, dreamer or the deep sleeper. And knowing this, the action is transcended from within the action itself. Action is transcended from action. So the kartaram api akartaram. In the Bhashya, Chatvara eva varnaha chaturvarnyam maya ishwarena srishtam utpadidam. The fourfold order classes of four varnas have been created by me, Lord. Brahmano asya mukhamasit bahurajanya uru tadasya yadvaishyaha ityadi shrutehe. He is referring to the Purusha Sukta in the Rig Veda as declared in the scripture. Guna karma vibhagashaha guna vibhagashaha karma vibhagahascha. That is how he has described the compound word. According to the divisions of qualities and actions. Gunaha sattva rajas tamamsi. What are the called gunas? Sattva, rajas and tamas. Tatra satvikasya sattva pradhanasya brahmanasya chamo dhamas chamascha. In the 18th chapter, 42nd verse, Krishna says that what are the qualities of Brahmana? Chamo dhamas tapascha. Ityadina karmani. For a Brahmana in whom sattva is predominant, the duties are such as tranquility, self-control, austerity, etc. Sattva upasarjana rajapradhanasya kshatriyasya shaurya teja prabridhini karmani. For a kshatriya whose nature is dominated by rajas with sattva as a secondary element, the duties are courage, strength and heroism. Tama upasarjana rajas pradhanasya svaishyasya krishyadini karmani. For the Vaishya, in whom rajas predominates with a tamas as secondary, the duties are agriculture and similar occupations. Raja upasarjana stama pradhanasya shrudrasya shushrusheva karmaha. For the Shudra, in whom tamas is predominant and rajas as secondary, service alone is the duty. Ityevam guna karma vibhagashaha chaturvarnyam maya srishtam. Thus, the fourfold social order has been created by me according to the division of qualities and action. Tatya idam chaturvarnyam na anyeshu lokeshu ataha manushe loke iti visheshnam. Here is where Shankaracharya has inducted a sentence of his own, which is not there in the shloka. He is saying that, and this fourfold order exists only in human world, hence the specification in the human world. Even though this Brahmana, Kshatriya, Shudra, Vaishya is named in the human world, but this Sattva, Rajas, Tamas and their qualities and the Prakriti is there in the entire cosmos. So the Varnas may not be Brahmana, Shudra, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra, but the fourfold qualities are predominant in all creation. Panda tarhi chaturvarnasya sargadehe karmana kartrutvad tat phalena yujyase. But then, since you are the creator of this fourfold order and its functions, you must become connected with the results of that action. Ataha natvam nitya muktaha nitya eshwarascha iti. So, you would not be eternally free or eternal Lord. Uchyate. The reply is there. This is an opponent which is asking, Ataha natvam nitya muktaha nitya sarveshwara iti. If that is the case, you will not be eternally free or eternally Lord. Yadyapi maya samyavaharena tasya karmanaha kartaram api santam mam. The answer given by the Vedantin is that although the empirical dealings of Maya, I appear to be a doer of that action, Paramartadaha Vidhi Akartaram. Know me in reality to be the non-doer. That is the opponent asking, if that is the case when Krishna says that Chaturvarnyam Maya Srishta, then he will not be eternally free, nor as he will not be an eternal Lord as Avatara, which we discussed earlier. Which is being replied saying that even the empirical dealings in Maya, I appear to be a doer of the Chaturvarnya, etc. But in reality, Paramarthata Vidhi Akartaram. Know me in reality to be the non-doer, because I do not have the doership. It is an appearance. Ata eva avyayam asamsarinam cha mam vidhi. Therefore, know me to be immutable and untouched by the cycle of worldly existence. So, to sum up this verse, the fourfold social order is created by the Lord according to the division of qualities and action. Although the Lord appears to be in the creator within the empirical world, in reality, he remains actionless, immutable, and untouched by the cycle of worldly existence. The 14th verse, Yesham tu karmanam kartaram mam manyase paramartadaha tesham akarta eva aham atha yataha. Now he explaining that why is he akarta? He said akartaram avyayam. Now in the 14th verse, Krishna is saying that even though you are considering me as kartaram mam manyase paramartataha, in reality, tesham akarta evaham. I am the non-doer of them. Yataha, how is being explained in this. Namam karmani libbanti name karma phale spriha. Itimam yo abhijanati karma bhir na sabandhyate badhyate. Namam karmani limbanti. The first quarter of the first line. Limbanti is from a root lib, lepanam, means to smear, to stain, to taint, or to adhere to. From there, this word limbanti is formed for a plural. They do not smear me, they do not stain me, they do not stain me, or they do not adhere to me. What? Karmani. These actions, or whatever actions is being done in the empirical world, they do not stain or taint or adhere to me. Namam, not me. Name karma phala spriha. Not only that actions do not touching me, karma phale, in the fruits of action, name spriha. I have no desire, longing, craving, or covetedness. If I am a doer, then I may have the longing or desire for the fruits of action. When I am not the doer, how can I have the desire for longing for in the fruits of action? Then the next line says, Itimam yaha abhijanati. One who knows thoroughly, recognizes completely or understands with full clarity me in this manner. So here he is qualifying the nature of Tattvajnana, the doership and the untouchability of the action and the fruits of action in the Parameshwara. One who knows in this manner thoroughly or in reality or recognizes me, karmabhihi na saha badhyate. Karmabhihi, by actions, even though such a person who knows me like this is in action as a karma yogi, na saha badhyate. He also is not bound by those actions. So this verse performs a logical extension of the previous verse. Know Parameshwara as Akarta. Know why he is an Akarta, because of the two grounds. Na karma lepa. The karma do not adhere to him because he has no abhimana, ego or the doership in him. No karma phala, karma phala spriha. Since he is not a doer, he has no desire, craving for the fruits of action. One who knows me like this, karma bhi na sabhadyate. He also is not bound by the actions he performs. So 14th verse is a casual explanation of the same 9th verse which we saw, na punarjanma. The reason for Tattvajnani for not having a rebirth is from this point of view. Knowing Parameshwara as an Akarta, that they recognize that the same Akartritva in their own Pratyekatma, and thereby the mechanism of karma bandhanam or the bondage due to action is dissolved at its root. Now let us look each of the words in specific. Limpanti, from the root lip, to smear, to stain, to adhere, to contaminate, etc. So limpanti is a plural. They smear on, adhere to, contaminate, taint, etc. The actions do not stain me, or do not adhere to me, or do not smear upon me. The karma lepa, the residue of samskara, that action leaves upon the andakarana, mind and intellect of a karta, due to the accumulated impression of kartrutva abhimana, that generates agami karma and sustains punarjanma. So that is the cycle. Karma lepa means the smearing action, the smearing or adhering of the karma creates a residue on the andakarana, on the inner equipment of mind and intellect of the doer. Only when he has a abhimana or a egoship of that I am the doer. And when this gets accumulated as an impression in the ego of the kartrutva, that I am the doer of this action, I am doer of that action, I am doing for this result, I am doing for that result. This abhimana generates what is called agami karma. The karma which he will have to do subsequently, because this impression in the mind motivates him to get into action because of the residual interest for the fruit of action. And this sustains the punarjanma, birth and rebirth, birth and rebirth, birth and rebirth. So the actions, when they leave no residue on, he is a karma yogi and a tattvajnani. So therefore no karma lepa, no samskara, no binding or towards the thing. Therefore karma doesn't bind him anymore. So the Parameshwara, the relationship with Parameshwara and all actions, he appears to perform the Chaturvarnya creation. He appears to become an avatara and for the cosmic governance of Dharma Samsthapanartha, etc. But none of these leave any residue or binding on the Parameshwara. Therefore, he has the courage to say, Namam karmani limbanti, that none of these actions stain me or adhere or smear me. The karma leba rises through the chain of avidya, kartrutva abhimana, kama, and karma phala, and karma phala leads to karma lepa, and that leads to the abhimana, and leads to the phala ankanksha, again for the subsequent actions. And this cycle is the samsara or punarjanma samsara. Shankaracharya uses three analogies. One is the Akasha Drishtanta. As the sky appears to be stained when clouds cover it, but is never actually stained. The sky is never stained, but the clouds show that is there in the sky. But the sky still remains pure. It is an appearance of the cloud in the sky. Same way, Parameshwara appears to act through the instruments, upadhis, but is never stained by those actions. That is why the avatara, he seems to be acting, doing all the actions, but he has no doership in it. Therefore, there is no smearing of actions. The second one is the Surya Drishtanta, the sun example. As the sun appears to move, when it is the observer who is moving, means looking at the sun moves. We say the sun is rising in the east and is setting in the west. Actually, sun is fixed. It is the rotation of the earth which makes us feel the sun is rising in the east and moving towards west. So this is also an appearance transferred onto the sun. Actually, it is a Prakriti or Maya that acts through his witnessing presence. So the Sakshi, the Atma or the Parameshwara, is a witness, and the Guna Guneshu Vartande. It is the gunas of the Prakriti of the Deha, body, mind, intellect, which is performing. The Atma or the Parameshwara is a Sakshi only. In the witnessing presence of that, the act seems to be performed. The third example which Shankaracharya quotes is the fire burns all things placed in it without itself being modified. The fire doesn't get burnt by burning itself. Same way, Parameshwara as the Chit Swarupa, or the pure awareness or consciousness, illumines all karma without being modified by any. He is only a witness to the karma done by the body, mind, intellect. He is a Sakshi. Therefore, the actions of the body, mind, intellect do not touch or smear the Atma. The word Spriha is an active, forward-directed craving for something which is not yet possessed by us. It is not an Ichha or Kama. Spriha is the motivational core of Sakama Karma, desired-based action. It is Spriha for the Phala or the forward directed craving for the fruits of action that makes action binding, karma bandhanam. Na karma phale, when Krishna said, not in the fruits of action, there is no spriha for mine in the karma phala, means I have no craving for any result of any action. So both the statements Krishna made in the first line and the second line are negations. Namam karmani limbanti, na me karma phala spriha. Na, in both these things. Actions do not stain me, I have no desire for karma phala. Together they constitute a complete account of why karma does not bind Parameshwara. From the action side, karma leaves no residue because na limbanti. From the agent side, there is no desire, na spriha, no karma phala akanksha. Precisely these two roots, karma is what is the karma bandha. Kartrutva abhimana, the egoship of doership, generating the smear or the tainting of the doership. Phalakangsha is the generating the spriha or the forward motivating craving. Both are here negated in the Parameshwara and the Atma, Pratyagatma. So, Name Karma Phale Spriha is the second and more fundamental proof of Akartrutva as per Shankaracharya. He establishes the philosophical priority why actions do not stain. Because there is spriha, desire for phala. Spriha for karma phala is the motivational route for desired based actions. The actions performed for the sake of the fruit of action. And this intentional directedness towards the phala, that is the forward motivational craving, creates the bondage. So remove the spriha, remove the desire for the fruits of action. Karma becomes nishkama. Because there is no lepa arising or no bondage which is arising. Why is there is no spriha in Parameshwara? But we as human beings, we have the spriha. Because Parameshwara is Purna. Absolutely complete, lacking nothing. In the previous verse we said that, no? Na, what you call, Nanam aptavam aptavyam, varte evaja karmani. I appear to be in action, but there is nothing, Trishu Lokeshu Kinchana. In the three worlds, there is nothing which is not achieved, nor anything which is not yet achieved. But I appear to be in action, is a statement which Krishna made earlier. So that Purnatvam or the absolute completeness of lacking nothing is Parameshwara's nature. Spriha arises from Apurnata. Only when we have incompleteness or a want or a need born out of the incompleteness. The sense that something is external will complete or fulfill my requirement or my incompleteness. Whereas Parameshwara acts as Sachidananda Purna and has nothing to gain from any karma phala. The entire Chaturvarnya creation, entire avatara, entire dharma samstapana, or none of these add anything to the Nitya Purnatvam of Paramatma. He is eternally complete. Hence, Name Karma Phala Spriha. It is not a discipline suppressing desire, etc., but as the natural state of completeness or Purnata. There is no spriha because there is no apurnata to generate it. There is a Brihadaranya Upanishad, there is a statement under 446. Kamyamanaha kaman sammoda. Akamo nishkama aptakama atmakama. One who has desires, he sports with desires. But the one without desire is without desires fulfilled, whose desires is Atman, and he is complete, Aptakama. Therefore, Parameshwara's desirelessness is not Vairagya generated out of renunciation, but Aptakama, all desires fulfilled in recognition that I am the Atma, which is Purna. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate. The Nitya Tripta, eternally satisfied, is because he is Atmagama. His desire is himself. Therefore, he is already attained himself. There is nothing else or external to him to be attained. He is that, therefore, all Spriha ultimately speaks. It is that which is everything else is seeking for. This is what the Brihadaranya Upanishad also says. Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. But who knows him like this? Abhijanat. It is stronger than janati, one who simply knows. It implies that complete, direct, non-mediated recognition. The prefix abhi, suggesting a face-to-face recognition of the truth in us. I come to terms with myself face-to-face with my truth. That is abhimugha jnana or aparoksha anubhuti. This is the same in the Abhijanati, which comes in the 7th chapter, 3rd verse also. Kaschin mam veti tattvataha. Scarcely anyone knows me in truth, because not many can know me myself. Pointing to the rarity and profundity of this knowing. Therefore, the verb Abhijanati Tattvataha Veti of 4.9, the same Aparoksha Anubhava, is what is called here Abhijnana. Idimam yo Abhijanati. Knowing Parameshwara, but with the precise recognition that Parameshwara is Akarta Avyaya, despite appearing as Karta of Chaturvarnya, Avatara, etc. Karma does not stain Parameshwara, na limpanti. No karma lepa, no staining of it. Parameshwara has no phalaspriha, no desire for that, because he is nitya tripta, eternally fulfilled. Purna is complete in all aspects. Abhijanati as a pointing to 3 levels of jnana, whose depth determines the completeness of liberation. The 3 levels of knowledge is paroksha jnana, that indirect or mediate knowledge, knowing. Intellectual understanding that Parameshwara is Akarta, heard from the Shastra and the Guru, but necessary but insufficient alone. Aparoksha Anubhava, the immediate, non-mediate recognition, the direct Atma Sakshatkara, that one's own Pratyagatma is identical with the Akarta, Avyaya, Parameshwara. This is the true Abhijnana. But that is also not enough. There is something called Sahaja Nishta, the abidance in the self, the natural, effortless abidance, the stabilized recognition that persists without effort. That is the most important. There is no effort in that knowing. That is the Jivan Mukta's unbroken, or the what you call the second chapter. We said that, Kabhasha. That is the one which is being told here. Unbroken akartrutva anubhava, even while acting. So when the Jivan Mukta is acting, his nature is abiding with an effortless abidance in the self. So therefore, Abhijanati is a present tense which knows the right now and continuously, indicating that the liberating knowledge is not a past event or a present event, but a present and a continuous recognition. The Jnani does not merely once recognized, but is one who abides in the recognition of Parameshwara and his own akartrutva. Therefore, na badhyate. He is not bound. Avidya karma samskara is not there in him. Therefore, the badhyate accurately describes a compulsive mechanist nature of karma bandha, which is affecting the ajnani because of the bondage. They fall into it through gravity of avidya. Yataha yaha iti mam abhijanati saha karma bihi na badhyate. He who knows me thus, that one is not bound by actions. So this is the universal conditional structure that makes the cosmic law. Whoever possesses this knowledge, this abhijnana, is necessarily free from karma bandha. The connection is logical and necessary. Nityata, not a contingent like the sun's rising necessarily dispelling the darkness. Why does abhijnana of Parameshwara akartrutva free the jiva from karma bandha? Me knowing Parameshwara as Sakarta, how will it free me from karma bandha? The answer rests on the non-difference of the Pratyekatma and Paramatma. The Mahavakya, Ayamatma Brahma. The Jnani knows the Parameshwara as Sakarta, Avyaya, and knows the Tattvata in their truth, the Aparokshata or the immediateness. What they are actually recognizing is the akartrutva of Avyaya Parameshwara is my own Pratyekatma. Therefore, the Jiva Parameshwara distinction is collapsed in the fire of Atma Sakshatkara. There is no longer separate Jiva who is a Karta. The Karta is recognized as an Ubadi level superimposition, Adhyasa. Kartrutva Abhimana also dissolves, that the egoship. For who can maintain the illusion of a doership when he knows that Akarta Atman stands self-luminously revealed all the time continuously? He is abiding in that knowledge. Therefore, he becomes without the Kartrutva Abhimana and no Phalaspriha. He has no doership feeling nor the desire for the fruits of action. Because he recognizes the Purnata or the completeness of Atman and therefore lacks nothing. Without the Kartrutva Abhimana, without the egoship of the doership, there is no Phalaspriha, no Karmaleva. And without karma lepa, no samskara accumulation, no punarjanma. Therefore, karma na badhyate. Therefore, the actions, even if he is performing, he is abiding in the inactive or akartrutva, non-doer atman. Therefore, the actions do not bind him. Shankaracharya makes here the most important Advaitic distinction between actions continue in the Jivan Mukta. The body continues to act based on the prarabdha as seen by others, and that drives the body until its exhaustion. But these actions leave no new residual action, because kartrutva abhimana that would generate this stain has been dissolved by jnana. Therefore, the Jivan Mukta acts like Parameshwara himself. Kartaram api akartaram. Appearing to act, yet no doership. At the Vyavahara level, he is a karta, while akarta at the Paramarthika level. This is what is called the living embodiment or the Jivan Mukta Avastha. So, in the Brihadaranya Upanishad, Shankaracharya quotes that Tavaeva Thira Vijnaya Prajnang Kurvida Brahmana Nanu Jayeda Bahun Shabdan Vacho Vignapalam Hitat. The wise Brahmana, having known the Atman, should act with understanding. Words are merely exhaustion of speech. The Kaushikiki Upanishad also says, and the Kena Upanishad also says that, Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. It is not slain when the body is slain. It is there in the Bhagavad Gita 2nd chapter also. The Akarta Atman is not the doer of even the body's destruction, let alone the body's actions. So there are two grounds for Akartrutva. One is Karmani na limpanti na karme phala ispriha. Both are not there. Actions do not stain me, there is no desire for me from the action. And for the fruit of abhijnana or the knowledge is itimam na abhijanati, yedimam yaha abhijanati saha karmabihi na badhyate. He who knows me thus, that one is not bound by the action. So these are the necessary and sufficient conditions for mukti, moksha. And a Jivan Mukta as a living, he acts in karmas at the Vyavaharika level as prarabdha seen by others. From his side there is no doership. Therefore no lepana of karma, no desire for the fruits of action. And therefore these actions, even though he is doing, which seems to be the prarabdha actions, do not bind him anymore. Therefore the kevala jnanat eva moksha. Only by knowledge or the tattva jnana alone is the freedom from the what you call karma bandha, samsara. And this echoes the Ishavasya Upanishad also. Kurvan neha karmani jijibishe chatam samaha. Evam tvai na anyato asti na karma lipyate nare. We studied this. Performing actions alone here, let one wish to live 100 years. Thus for you, there is no other way. Action does not stain the person. The famous statement of Ishavadya, na karma lipyate, actions do not stain, is precisely the same teaching that na karmani limpanti. The condition is the same. Knowing the Atman as Ishvara, Ishavasya. All this is pervaded by Ishvara. The Ishavasya Upanishad teaching and Bhagavad Gita 14 are thus the same sutra stated with two perspectives. Upanishads from the standpoint of sadhaka, so 100 years living, action does not stain you. Even if you live 100 years with doing action, it will not stain you. And the Gita from the standpoint of Parameshwara, saying that action does not stain you. We'll stop here. I'll have to read the Shankara Bhashya, which can be done tomorrow. Om Purnamata Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you. Dhanyawad.
Thank you very much, Bindoji. I'm opening up the chat and hand raising. If there are any follow-up questions.
We will meet tomorrow. Thank you all.
Okay, Bindoji. Let's meet tomorrow. So we resume again at 8:30 p.m. IST for the next session. And as always, the replays are available. So Sravana Manana is the best way to keep up with the classes and go deeper into the chapter 4. Thank you everyone for coming. And Bindoji, as always, thank you. Over to you to close the room.
Thank you, Prakash. Thank you all for being there. We'll continue the journey through 4th chapter tomorrow also. See you tomorrow. Hari Om. Good night.
Hari Om. Good night.